Hi everyone, so today I will teach you how to disassemble and assemble a system unit. Just a quick background about this system unit. This hasn't been used for more than 5 years. It's just in our storage room and this is no longer functioning and it has incomplete parts like the left side panel. Nevertheless, it's perfect for practicing the disassembly and assembly of system unit. So later in the actual demonstration, you will notice that some parts are all dusty. So enough of me talking and let's get to the main topic of the video. The two tools you need are long Phillips screwdriver and a container for all screws. And of course, you need your actual system unit. But wait! On an actual working and used system unit, make sure to unplug the computer first. Before touching the inside of the computer, you should touch a grounded metal object to discharge any static buildup. This is to prevent serious damage on your machine. Using ESD tools like anti-static wrist strap is the best practice when handling electronic devices. So let's start by laying down your system unit. Remember that the open side of the system unit should be facing upward. After removing the side case panel, you must first unplug all cables connected inside the system unit. So I will briefly discuss some cables inside the system unit. So this is a SATA cable, which is a power connector used to connect to hard disk drives, optical drives, or any devices that have SATA power socket. So this one is a main power connector or P1, which is a 20-pin ATX power connector with the socket on the motherboard. So this is a P4 connector, which is a 4-pin cable supplied by the power supply. It supplies the motherboard with additional power. So the black cable I'm holding is a 4-pin fan power connector found on motherboards within a computer case. This connector provides power to cooling fans. So these are the front panel connectors to the motherboard. These may include the hard drive LED light, power LED light, internal speaker, reset switch, and others. So the other cables I have here are the power cable and the DVI cable, which were removed after turning off the computer. So we are now done with the very first step, and we have successfully unplugged all cables connected inside the system unit. So now let's gather our tools since we will now remove all the major components inside the system unit, starting with the power supply. So as you can see, the power supply is very dusty, so I just grabbed a cloth and I'm wiping off all the dust. So what is a power supply? Basically, it supplies power to all other components inside the system unit. So we will now remove the hard disk drive or the HDD in the system unit. So the hard disk drive or the HDD is where data is being stored permanently. So the next step is to remove the system fan. So a system fan helps in maintaining the coolness inside the system unit. So the fifth step is to remove the RAM. Also remember that this is the proper way to hold it. So RAM or random access memory is volatile, which means that all contents are lost if the machine loses its power. Also, the more RAM you have, the more programs you can run at once. A common cause of slow computers is a lack of sufficient RAM. So the next step is to remove the motherboard. The motherboard is the main circuit board of a computer, and its purpose is to receive power and communicate with other computer parts. Next is to remove the optical disk drive, or the ODD. An optical disk drive is used to read CDs and DVDs, which can be used to listen to music or watch movies or install software or play games. Now for the motherboard, we must remove the heatsink. Heatsink draws heat from the processor to make sure that the temperature of the processor is down. A cooling fan is fitted onto the heatsink to prevent it from overheating. The next thing to do is to remove the CPU. Be very careful when removing this part. The central processing unit is the computer's brain. It performs the calculations needed by a system and can vary in speed. Most computers have expansion slots on the motherboard that allows you to add various types of expansion cards. An example is a video card, which handles the output of images to display. And now we are finally done disassembling the system unit. When assembling a system unit, you just have to reverse all the steps that we did in the disassembly. So let's start on the motherboard. Let's install all the parts that should be in the motherboard. The next step is to place the optical disk drive. And we will now place the whole motherboard in the system unit. After that, you will place the hard disk drive, or the HDD. Next is to place the system fan. And for the last major component, place the power supply in the system unit. And now for the very last step, plug all the cables to its corresponding proper headers and drives. Remember that when connecting all the cables, the power cables should be connected to each component in the system unit. And we are finally done assembling the system unit. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this video helped you a lot.